So yesterday, Celtic beat Hearts 4-1 to effectively crown themselves champions of Scotland. The league title is coming back to Celtic Park. Very joyous occasion, of course, but it was always something that was in doubt. Let's not pretend, let's not kid on, that even us as Celtic fans, the majority of us anyway, weren't too convinced that the league title was going to be easy to win this year, including myself. We thought it was going to be tough, it was about rebuilding. And I think that Ange Postecoglou and this Celtic team have exceeded everybody's expectations. Yesterday was fantastic. I don't need to go over how good the feeling was, knowing that the league title is basically home again. But it's been a long year. And who would have thought that when Hearts beat us 2-1 on the opening game of the season, that we'd be sitting in this position now, saying that we are champions. Right, before we go any further with the video, I know people are going to complain about lighting, about sound maybe. If you didn't see my video yesterday, this is us now in the surroundings of the new studio, which is still very much a work in progress. I have literally just moved back here. So it's going to take time and it will start to look good. The light won't be shining on one side of my face. I'm going to get better professional lighting, and then I'm getting a new camera. We'll talk about it all tomorrow on the channel, but basically it's not going to be like this forever. The quality will look better. But to make that quality better, I need your guys' support. So if you could, drop down below, hit like and subscribe, especially the big subscribe button. And yeah, let's talk about Celtic's magical season. So as I said in the start of the video, who would have pictured this? Beating Hearts 4-1 yesterday to effectively crown ourselves champions, when on the opening game of the season we fell to a 90th minute winner against Hearts. We lost 2-1 in the opening game of the season, and the critics were out for us. The jury was set, wasn't it? It was like the decision had been made. Celtic couldn't win the Scottish Premiership. As a Celtic fan, I remained hopeful that we could do it, that we could challenge and we could maybe get something out of this season. But deep down, I thought to myself, this is going to be a hard task. It was never that I didn't believe in Postecoglou. It wasn't I didn't believe in the team we had as well. We just had so much work to do that I thought in a singular season that would be impossible. But yesterday, the epitome of everything that we have worked towards was right there in front of my eyes. Watching the team go round the park at the full-time whistle, it was just tremendous. Watching how much it means to the players, the manager, and every fan who stayed behind to kind of clap the team on and give them that sort of guard of honour sort of moment, a lap of honour I should say. It just felt magical. It was so much of a reward for us fans, for the faith that we've installed in a manager who was, you know, slaughtered to say the least. This was a guy who was met with every bit of criticism you could imagine, and he's proved every single one of them wrong. And yet here we are, effectively Scottish champions. Honestly, I would have laughed in your face if you told me after that game at the start of the season that we were going to win the league in the fashion we have. But here we are, and I'm going to use today to look back on what myself and everybody was saying when Hearts beat us 2-1 on the opening game of the season. So yeah, we're going to start with the reaction video that I did to that game. Now, I still remember watching that game live. I watched it in the old flat in the living room with a few friends, and it was a toxic one, to say the least. Just the feeling that everybody had in the room, knowing that this season was going to be a long and tough one. It wasn't the most enjoyable of watches when that 90th minute goal hit the back of the net. I didn't make a video that night because, you know, we all had a drink. And then I believe I didn't even make a video the next day, because we played the game on the 31st of July, if you remember rightly. And as you can see, this was the first piece of reaction content I'd done. And it was on the 2nd of August. I think I must have been hungover on the 1st. So me and McGinley sat down for a rare two-man podcast, and we discussed the defeat in length. Now, I'm not going to sit here and listen to my entire podcast from back in August, but I'm going to try and listen out for some of the best bits and see what I was thinking about Celtic's season, what I predicted for the upcoming games that were there, and so on past that. And then we're going to look at the wider reaction. We're going to go into some tweets. We're going to have a look through the replies, and we're going to pick out the best and the funniest, and everything else in between. But it's time to sadly listen to myself. I don't know how you guys do it, watching these videos, listening to me talk. I feel sorry for yous. I am now going to bear the headset on my head and listen to the sound of my own voice. Let's see what stupidity I had to say. First of all, McGinley's Barnett, that was a time. Bald. Better than the curtains that he had on TSF recently. I'm joking, McGinley. I do love you, bro. Right, okay, let's just jump into it.
At the end of the day, Celtic still lost the game, and that's the talking point. The talking point isn't should Celtic have won. It's the fact we've lost. We've lost on the opening day of the season. Yeah, there was once again positives in the game, Ryan. I think there was definitely glimpses of potential for what we're going to see from Celtic this season. But when Rangers win 3-0 on the opening day, you lose 2-1 on the opening day, the story suddenly becomes, well, is that it already? Not is it done and over?
And that's it, isn't it? That was the quick reaction from everybody. And I'm going to obviously expand on my thoughts in a moment on this podcast quite clearly, and I'll give my reaction. But straight away, you remember that Rangers won 3-0 in the opening game of the season. It was a really good start for the then reigning champions. And then we go and lose in the second day, and automatically the conversation is, well, that could be it done already. 3 points adrift on the opening game of the season. Celtic didn't look strong enough. Rangers looked very strong. They kept a clean sheet, 3 goals. A lot of people wrote us off from game 1. That was the reality of the situation at the time.
But are Celtic good enough to challenge Rangers this season? We've been saying it all along. We weren't expecting us to go and win the league this year, but I think it is so frustrating. And here's where all the ranting is now going to begin. That our board...
Oh, the ranting. Oh, the ranting. How I love a rant. You know me.
...have allowed a new manager to come in and start in this worst possible light. Now, I couldn't give a toss with the likes of Chris Commons and Tom English and all the rest of it want to say. I couldn't fucking care. Because
and that stays the same to this day. I couldn't give a toss what Chris Commons nor Tom English would ever say.
But we've now got a sea of these journalists all over Scotland already throwing the Ange under. And almost shedding all the blame onto him, putting all the blame onto him, which makes no sense because the board have led us to this situation, Ryan. The fact that we're starting the season in this way.
Mm-hmm. So I'm actually very happy with the way that I reacted in terms of not being on the manager's back, and I think the majority of people were, because we've all wanted Ange Postecoglou to succeed. A very small minority of Celtic fans who just never backed him at the start probably weren't the same, but the majority of folk were. We all wanted to see the manager succeed, but at the time, you know, I think I was pretty much bang on, I thought, when, you know, I spoke about the board leaving Ange in the situation that they did. You know, they kind of hung him out to dry in the early stages of the season. We've seen how bare we were heading into the European qualifiers, how bare we were heading into the first game of the season. They have made up for that. They've more than made up for that, I think, with the signings we've made this season and the backing that they've given the manager. Still not a perfect board, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to bootlick. But I think they have made up for that very poor start. But at the time, people were quick to jump on Ange's back, and the media were loving it. The media were giving it he's a flop, where it's ready to happen here. You know, it's going to be a Tony Mowbray-esque type thing. That was the kind of media reaction right after the first game. But whereas I remember sitting there on the podcast and thinking to myself, I can't exactly blame Ange here. Actually, I'm going to pull up what the starting... This is what I've got to compare, actually. I'm going to put up on screen the 11 that played on the opening game of the season. Deary me. What on earth? I can't remember it being that bad. Scott Bain was in goals. I think Joe Hart and James McCarthy signed a couple of days after this game. So Bain was in goals. Ralston, who was brilliant that day, if you remember. Brilliant goal. Probably the only kind of highlight from that game in terms of our perspective. Beaton and Starfelt was the back two. Starfelt was still... You know, he had a shaky game, if you remember. The critics were out for him straight away. Taylor, who at the time was still very much... we had it up in the air if he was good enough to play. Sorrell joined McGregor. Sorrell. It speaks volumes how much we've seen Sorrell even featured on the bench for the majority of this season, and he had to start. Abada, Turnbull and Forrest joined Edouard, who obviously had 1 foot out the door at the time as well. That was our team in that game. And in the bench, my goodness Christ almighty, Barkas, Kyogo, obviously, I think he signed that day or maybe the day before, and he came on for about 10 minutes. Barkas, Furuhashi, Ayeti, Christie, Rogic, Montgomery and Welsh. And the referee was Bobby Madden. Throw that part in as well. That was the team that we took to Hearts that day and you compare that with what played yesterday, I couldn't have pictured the kind of revolution of the team, never mind anything else, but where we are right now, what a testament to the manager and the job he's done. He turned that into what we have now, and where we are now. That's incredible. Back to me. Oh, well, actually, I think McGinley's about to take the floor now. Take it away, Ryan McGinley.
It seems that already Ange is on the back foot with the reporters. He won't care less because you can tell he hates the press already.
Yep.
I mean, there's talk that the BBC have already been banned from Celtic Park.
Really?
Aye.
I don't think the BBC was ever banned from Celtic Park at the end of the day, but you know, Ryan was kind of nail on the head, wasn't it? We've seen how Ange has battled the media all season, and I think he takes it all in good stride. I don't think there's any malicious side of him that looks at the media like that. But you seen him yesterday, for example, his comments with Kenny McIntyre on BBC. Kenny gave a question across, and Ange's response was something like, "You're the only person who could put a dampener on winning a championship." And yeah, that's been the way Ange has been treated all season by the media. Everything's been doom and gloom. Everything's been sort of said in a negative light. It's all been very sort of cheeky at some points. And Ange has just gave them a right big middle finger each and every time. And I absolutely love that.
Aye, it's not a great start at all.
It's not a great start, but I think there's got to be now the situation, and Chris Commons, who I've already alluded to, he wrote an article this morning saying he's been given Ange Postecoglou has been given a free pass for the first kind of couple of games, but how long will it be till we start questioning? I don't think it's not a free pass. It's not. Ange doesn't deserve to be thrown under the bus here in the way that he's been. The Celtic board have let us go into the season unprepared. And to be honest, I'll say what I said in my match preview. You look at that Hearts back five, their goalkeeper, right back, centre back, left back. You take 4 of the 5 and went fucking Celtic at this rate. That's the situation the board have led us into.
Yep.
At the time, what an outlandish cry, by the way, to take 4 out of 5 Hearts defenders in a Celtic team. At the time, you know, there was an argument for it. We only had Starfelt through the door. Ralston was still in that sort of, right, what's happening with him? Is he going to become a good player? He did come on to have a good season, but at the time we didn't know what was going to happen. You looked at you know, the likes of Taylor, we still didn't really know what was happening. And you looked at, you know, the likes of Welsh on the bench and Beaton, who joined Starfelt that day. It wasn't good enough. And you looked at Hearts' back line, you're like, that's a back line. That's a defensive unit. Something that Celtic didn't have at that time. And once again, I reiterated the point, I think I was spot on. You know, people like Commons were saying Ange's got a free pass for now. But, you know, why was the blame having to be on Ange at that time? You know, why could we not have seen that there was a lot of work to be done in terms of signings, recruitment? Why were people ready to just jump on and judge his managerial ability when he didn't have the tools to really do it at his best early stages? I don't know. But obviously, time has progressed and we've seen how that's went. Chris Commons, does Ange still need a free pass, or is he out the free pass kind of phase? You tell me.
I don't want to even make a comment on Sorrow thus far because I was giving it. I think we all were giving it Billy Big Balls when he broke into the team. I still like Sorrow though. I'm not really. I'm not against him yet, but we certainly do need someone else in that area.
This way.
I'm against it now. Right, I don't want to be here all day listening to myself because, yeah, quite frankly, that gets mind numbing. Once again, I don't know how you guys do it. But I think the general tone of what me and McGinley were saying in the podcast was, you know, we could challenge. There certainly was an opportunity for us to do so, but it relied on board backing. And we got that backing, and the backing was successful in terms of our signings. You know, maybe McCarthy hasn't really turned out for the greatest, and Ideguchi hasn't really played. But aside from that, all first team signings have been good signings. So we're backed. We're in the position we are now, but you could certainly tell that the kind of underlying tones from everything that we said was this season's going to be tough and we don't expect a league title. And here we are. Currently 9 points clear as I make this video, but probably going to be 6 points clear by the end of today, and champions of Scotland. Let's have a look at the comments section. Let's have a look down there, because surely there is some funny comments to look through. Let's see. This was like the worst part in the world. See, when we were doing shite in the podcast that just started, especially, it was always like the Celtic, the blunder, the Celtic, the wet fart, the Celtic, the whimper. I'm like, come on, like, get some patters, please, I beg. Yin yang, what a comment this is, by the way. Steve Clark would have built a tasty enough team. It's really all about the manager. I swear to God, this guy's name was Glasgow Rangers 56. I swear to God, that was his name. But I was very quiet at the time. It's probably because I like a drink. A lot of Rangers fans who were waiting to hear what I was saying. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Okay. Let's take it to the wider board. Let's go and look at what the reaction was on social media when the result came in. So I went on the old Twitter advanced search. What a tool, by the way. And I'm going to have a look through the replies to some of the tweets. So here's the first one that will probably have maybe a good few replies. Celtic suffered opening day defeat for the first time in 24 years, and Ange Postecoglou's I thought I said christening for a moment. Chastening start as manager continued as Hearts made a winning Scottish Premiership return. Let's have a look through. Oh yes, brilliant. There's a top reply. Alan McCoy's having a wee boogie. Yeah, nice. Okay, a lot of laughing. Chris Boyd grinning. Tears being licked up. Oh, this is great, isn't it? Some fantastic content in here. I wonder if the reaction's still the same, to be quite honest. Let's see. A very weird comparison of Carol Starfelt to Shane Duffy. Quite bizarre. And then always the favourites. 2 in a row already in the bag. Where's the bag? Let's see down here. A lot more laughing faces. Just give us the trophy now, said Andy. Unlucky Andy fella. This was bizarre. Robbie Nielsen's post-match interview. And look, listen, I'm not going to take away the fact they beat Celtic the opening game of the season. It's a fantastic result. Obviously, you want to beat Celtic and Rangers whenever you can. But we were absolutely delighted to get 3 points against a very good Celtic team. It was probably one of the worst starting 11s I've seen Celtic field in my lifetime. No word of a lie. It wasn't a very good Celtic team. Not at all, Robbie. But that's Robbie Nielsen for you. Utter shite as always. I mean, you look through the replies... and that's basically the general consensus about even the Rangers fans like very good Celtic team. Way off it, Robbie. That's Robbie Nielsen trying to make the result look better, of course. Postecoglou getting the sack. Well, Cameron, how's that worked out, fella? And that's where I'm going to wrap it up. A bit of fun today on the channel, as we have a lot of great comments that we could probably sit through all day and read through and react to. There's so much there. No one ultimately expected Celtic to be in the position they are right now with the league success, a cup double, a league and a cup double. Nobody expected that to come. And the fact that we're here now and that's the situation is just honestly a testament to everything we've worked towards. And I'm absolutely buzzing. I love you, Ange Postecoglou. I love you, Celtic. And I cannot wait for next season already. Hopefully we go into the build in the summer now and improve on the team. Hopefully we can do something in Europe as well. But ultimately, hopefully we regain that league title again next season. 2 in a row would be nice if we could get there, but I'm buzzing that we've done this. This rebuild, wasn't that hard after all. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.